It's got to be gone. Let's let this run for a little bit. Oh, perfect on the block starting as always. How's it going, everybody?
Thanks everybody for following us through this journey as we've turned On the Block into On the Block Network. And the first step to that is to expand it into covering Survivor. And like we told y'all, Max Dawson is covering Survivor with Survivor and all the Fixins. And this is the first episode. So anyway, without any further ado, Max Dawson.
It's a long time. This is weird, Max. That's weird. That's weird. It's just weird.
The Hex doesn't have a beard today. You come in?
All right, yeah, why not?
What are we doing?
Come on in.
It's claiming my wine.
Woo! Hey,
Sounding.
Wow, welcome. Survivor with all the Fixins. First episode is very exciting. I'm joined by two illustrious guests. When I was told that I got to do a Survivor podcast, I thought about all of the people who I could have
He
on
doesn't
as
like to be choked.
my first guests. And I thought about people like Aris. I thought about people like Jonathan Penner. I thought about people like Tyson. And then after I went through the entire list, I got to who I actually could get. And I came up with these two. Corinne from Survivor Gabon, Survivor Fans vs. Favorites 2, and Mike Holloway, my friend from the Dirty 30, the winner
Come closer.
of Survivor Season 30 Worlds Apart. So guys, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Also, here's my sidekick, Tyler Fredrickson.
Hi.
You have to use. Oh my God, you're the worst.
No, I didn't actually mean the dummy. This is Charlie.
I'm so happy to be
This is painful. Oh my God.
This is really awful. Yes. So, all right. First things first. We're going to just dive right into things.
Okay.
Mike, Corinne.
What did we think of the episode?
No, I want to talk about, you guys haven't seen each other for a while. How is it?
Awkward.
Is it awkward?
All right.
Is
Thank
it
you.
awkward right now?
So we're good. We
moving
have
right
had
along.
sufficient wine before.
Closure? We achieved.
Was there anything to close?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. Well, I'm happy then to move on to the episode. First things first. Did
Who's Mike dating?
Yeah, Mike, who are you dating? Remember when
Who
we
am
almost
I-
dated and
Who,
then we
who am
didn't?
I not dating? There we go.
already this is the greatest
Who am I?
episode
Who am I
in the
not
history of
dating at this point?
Survivor podcast. No, let's talk about the episode.
Mhm.
No, really. Let's talk about who I'm dating. Johnny Fairplay's grandmother. We've been together and serious for a long
That
time.
woman's probably more loyal than my other friend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shots
Burn.
fired.
I
Okay.
promised you guys that this podcast would be different from all the other podcasts out there.
Here we go.
We are not know-it-alls.
No.
We certainly, actually, I don't think I know very much about how to play this game.
Okay, that's a lie.
About how to play it, I mean, I know a lot about how to tweet about it, but I mean, this guy knows how to play it, apparently.
Not really.
We are not a strategy-based podcast. We are not a pure recap. We are more about,
Assholes.
we're about the assholes.
And so
No, like we're
Who better to talk
assholes.
about assholes
We're
than-
classholes because we have wine and that makes us classholes.
and cheese?
That's right. There's cheese. You can't see it. It's off camera.
Yes. So
There is.
let's dig into the episode.
Yeah, let's.
Please. There are thousands, if not tens of thousands of people watching worldwide. Special welcome to our friends in South America.
Israel. Israel's probably
Israel.
obviously. Why would Israel not support us? Fuck.
Behind.
Let's talk about the episode.
Let's do it.
Let's start with the end. Vetus voted out first, the
Mm.
first member of the Second Chance cast to be voted out.
That's a hard pill to swallow, man.
Yeah, I mean, especially after all of the buildup, after all of the campaigning, and I can speak to this a little bit. This was a unique preseason in that we started playing the game a long time before we even found out if we were on the cast.
Hey, I got to do that too.
Come on,
I mean, I got let's be real. If we're talking about things that go on behind the scenes and real deal, do you know how many phone calls were made from different people throughout the whole cast? There was a whole alliance pregame going on before the season even started. You know what I mean? So when certain people did get picked and certain people didn't get picked, it threw the whole
Alliance, whatever you were. Yeah.
So actually, this is an awesome topic. Mike, you went into this second chance casting process with, I would assume, a strong chance that you were not going to be playing.
No, I knew I wasn't going to go. Yeah, I knew I wasn't going.
What was it like?
Now you
going
sound
through
egotistical.
that
No, it wasn't. No, it's not.
You didn't know you weren't going until they announced.
Agreed.
Technically.
It wasn't official, but like I had a really good sense that I wasn't going. I mean, just how the cards were laid for me. So,
Which is like the opposite of what Carolyn probably felt.
that was
All around.
Too soon.
My bad.
Too soon.
I love her. But
No, she.
she thought she
Carolyn
wanted and she
deserves-
thought she was going.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, she thought
She had a double whammy that night.
I thought she was going.
I thought she
no
was
one
going.
was more shocked than me. But Mike, what was it like for you going through the process, making a video, sending out tweets, vote for me, when you knew that you weren't going to go? And also, what was it like dealing with people who wanted to talk about pregame alliances?
I thought it was fun because, as Corinne knows, I'm a huge Survivor fan. So just getting to talk to these people that I watched play whatever season they played on was awesome. Just getting to connect. But from the knowledge of me thinking,
This is a waste of your fucking time. For everyone that called him, that spent all that time
hey,
trying to establish a relationship with him.
Who wasted more time?
Waste
on
of
this?
time
Who
all around
wasted
for
more
everyone.
time on this, though, me or Mike?
Oh, you know what? You got him beat there, man.
Who called you? Who did you have conference calls with?
I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to say that. I will say that the Dirty 30 and I spent a ton of time on the phone together.
Let's talk a little bit about the Dirty 30 strategy going into second chances.
What are you typing?
I'm updating the lower third.
Oh.
So let's talk a little bit about that strategy, because we did talk quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk a lot normally, but we had a lot of conversations around how we were going to approach this if more of us got in than actually did. What were some of the things that were going through your mind?
Well, number one, really and truly, I was trying to just tell everybody that, you four that were, in my mind, really and truly up for it, that if all four of you make it, you got to go in and run numbers. If four people from one season are in there and one of those four don't make the final three, then all four of you are idiots, basically. You know what I'm saying? Because you have going into the season already a set amount of numbers, whether you like the people or not. Survivor's not about liking people. It's about getting people to vote the way that you want to vote. Correct or incorrect?
Yeah, I mean, one of us has 1 million, and it's not Max and I, so
Right.
for sure,
Yeah,
you're right.
I'm gonna defer to
Nobody
you.
likes him.
Thanks, T. Freddie.
You voted for me.
That's a true
You're
story.
partially responsible for this, for creating this monster.
No,
So
he's
we were
right,
talking
like-
about, we had to have the numbers, we had to run the numbers, but we were also talking a lot about, like, how do we deal with the fact that there would be a huge target on us?
Well, because we are.
Look at this. We are so fucking egotistical that we have the premiere episode of a new season of Survivor to talk about. All we could talk about is ourselves.
Well, I don't really like talking about myself. I want to talk about this season. I know
Let's
you
talk
put me
about the
on
season.
spot.
So,
Yeah, get to
so
it.
we were looking at this cast, whether we were in the mix for playing,
Right.
or we were just sort of observing the whole hoopla. Would you ever in a million years have picked Vetus as the first person to go home?
No,
Who was going home first?
Cass.
Abby.
Abby?
Well, or Cass.
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 Yeah.
I did power rankings. I picked Cass, but
No, I'm sorry. There's a difference between who you hope was going to go first.
yes.
I obviously hoped Cass was going to go first because she's a melted popsicle with a tooth stuck in it. But in general, I know that production loves Cass. They're not going to let her go home first. I'm surprised she didn't find that clue. So it's a matter. There's a difference between who, like, logically should go home first and who does, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's the reason that I would personally have gotten rid of, or trying to have gotten rid of Cass first, if she was up for getting rid of, getting wow,
Getting rode.
getting rid
Nobody's riding her, I promise. Nobody.
to get her out of the game because she's so unpredictable.
Yes.
in my opinion.
And that's to me the biggest problem. Like, I'll keep someone around. I mean, I don't want to, but I'll keep someone around who's annoying but predictable.
Exactly.
You don't want somebody that's just trying to
Loose
stir
cannon.
shit up. Yeah. No, that's terrible.
So Cass was the obvious first choice in terms of who we would want to go home, in terms of who we thought would go home. Do you have a sense, given the cast and what you know about the politics, you thought would be going home first?
I mean, I think I would have gone a different manner if I can get in there with the format that they have of the 10 people tribes.
Yeah.
If I can get in there and I can secure 5 people, have 5 people that I'm like solid with.
Well, yes, Mike, that's what we're all trying to do.
But here's what I'm saying. I'll go after a huge target that we may lose
Right.
challenges if we get rid of him.
Yeah, I'm not so concerned about losing challenges as long as you
Right.
have numbers. That's the only thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
the
what I'm
same
saying.
way.
Like
That's why I
a
landed
10
with
and a
Corinne
6.
and Dawn. Like, I was like, they're fucking invalids, but they're numbers. If they're going to be loyal, it's what you need. You don't want somebody that you cannot trust and you can't predict.
So let's talk about the approach that you took. You know, you're saying align with Dawn and Cochran, forget about strength, go for numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that is more of a factor in a returning player season than it is when you're going out for your first time?
Definitely. The first time you're like, I just don't want to lose. I don't want to go to tribal. So you're just like, I would never vote out like the Joe. Like, I had Marcus, right? And I was like, well, clearly we're keeping him. You know, like you just don't want to lose. You don't want to be the tribe that keeps losing and going to tribal. In a returning player season, you're like, I don't want that motherfucker that wants camera time. I don't want, you know, like I have a whole different set of problems when I go back. It's not the same.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
I'm interested in hearing this.
Because I've heard people who have played in returning player seasons talk about the fact that when you're out there are many things that you're considering when you're factoring all the different things into your decision about who to vote for. And one of them is camera time.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that.
So when we first got out there to the beach, I heard a conversation between Philip and Cochran that was, how many Twitter followers do you have? Well, this is how many I have. And I was like, my head was going to pop off. Like, at that point, I don't even think I had a Twitter. And I was like, what happened to organically, like, playing the game and having a good time? And it was like, Philip, I remember he sat in a chair that we won at some point, and he broke the chair, and he's like, the fans are going to love this. I broke a chair the first season. And I was like, who are you talking to? Oh my God, it was awful. So to me, I was much more interested. Mike is writing down, like Helen Keller, who is the camera whore this season. I would like actually to hear your guys' opinion on this.
Yeah.
So there's two things, right? There's the person that's desperately trying to get camera time, the Philip. There's the person that does get camera time, the Cochran. So this season, what is your take?
In writing up my power rankings for the first episode on Xfinity with Gordon Holmes, I put that Spencer would find himself in the crosshairs for that very reason. That even without trying, Spencer is going to just be a camera time vacuum, black hole. He will attract all the attention, and that is something that is going to be threatening to the people who are concerned about that.
You know who I wish the camera whore was?
Who?
Keith.
Oh my God.
He's so good.
No. Oh, excuse me.
He's so
Varner
good.
is my breakout
Varner,
star of the season.
Varner, yeah.
I love,
Varner
I don't
killed
know.
it.
First of all, I'm going to
He's the
ask.
storyteller. Tyler said that last night.
Oh,
Varner was the storyteller of the whole
I
first
was
episode.
like-
It was great.
As soon as it started going,
Narrator,
I
that's
never
what he
saw
said.
Varner's first season. I didn't know who Varner was. He started speaking, and I immediately was drawn to him. And then I looked at the two friends I was watching with, and I was like, is he gay? Because that would make a lot of sense.
Totally
Is he?
Yeah.
No, I really want him. I love him. I love him.
He's a sweet guy, though. He's super nice.
But you know what? He's an unintentional. He's not trying to do that, right? Like, he's not Wigglesworth. To me,
He is.
Wigglesworth is like, I'm gonna swim, and I'm gonna be the person that like exceeds in the challenge, like all that stuff.
Varner is so naturally charismatic that the camera
I loved
loves
him.
him.
He's
The
super
audience
intelligent.
loves him.
I loved
He's
him.
super intelligent.
He's insecure
Super
and cocky
intelligent.
at the same time. He has baggage,
He's
history.
charming and relatable, and just I
You
really
just want him on your screen.
Here's
So
the thing.
he's getting the
Varner
camera time, but
knows-
not in that aggressive
No,
way of filling
Philip.
up for.
Varner knows everything.
Sugar.
Everything. He's played this before. Varner knows well enough to know when to turn it on. And I think he's almost playing the old school role, like the all shucks. Like, teach me the new school way.
well, and that is
He already has his
Yeah.
plan set in motion. He's thinking way more than he's letting on to everyone else that's out there, for
Which
sure.
which brings us to the thing that we were talking about a little earlier. So again, I don't know much, but my friend that gave me the cliff notes to this was like, Varner he in pregame interviews said over and over again that he had like spent time with Wigglesworth, like learning how to like make knots and build fire, and like was really like had like flew to, was it North Carolina?
Yep.
Come on, Max, jump in here.
They did neti pots together.
Okay, so like they had a real relationship that he fully was like, I don't really care.
He immediately went out there
Just
and
turned
flipped
first mode.
entirely on the pregame alliance that he had talked about so much before the game.
Love that guy.
Hey,
Love
I don't
him.
hate him. He was really funny whenever that crab, that was hilarious, or whatever bit him in the butt. It was perfect
Just
in-step timing because he was saying something and he's like, something cast or pass or whatever, and then he's, what just bit my?
And
You know,
he shot up in the
It
air.
was hilarious.
Varner is just so
Good TV.
he's so naturally
Magical.
Good TV.
everything comes out of him so organically. And we saw a moment last night at Tribal Council where he said, "This is an important moment. This is balls to the wall Survivor, an important moment." And the behind the scenes that we've been hearing, both from some of Vetus's exit interviews, some of the people like Gordon Holmes, Josh Wigler, who are on the scene, is that Jeff said, "Okay, before we go to vote, does anybody have any last questions or have statements they want to say?" And then Varner said, "Yeah." peih-gee, what are you? I think you had a rough transcript.
I did. I don't have my phone, but yeah.
peih-gee, and who's the other person? peih-gee.
Wiggles?
And
No.
somebody. Are we voting the way we talked about earlier today?
My mom
And then
Tyler, you got confirmation on that?
peih-gee and Kelly.
peih-gee,
Two
Kelly,
of the girls. He just said
peih-gee, and Wentworth. Are we voting?
Yes,
how
that's
we
right, peih-gee
talked
and
about
and
today?
then-
this morning.
and then they were like, yeah. And then Dietz was like, what are you talking about? And she radio silence. And then just went ahead and voted the other way.
And then the line that we saw where Varner said, "This is an important moment." Now think about that. Varner goes out in his first season. I believe it was a 5-5 tie.
Yes.
And of course, he's fucked by the old tie rules where previous votes against
Count, right.
He, in his very first day or his very first tribal council back, faces that very same scenario where he is in a 5-5 split. And damned if he is going to go to rocks. Damned if he is going to allow
because
chance
he probably
inside
doesn't know
his
the new
fate.
rules.
He probably does not know the new
Probably
rules.
true.
But he wants to have a hand in deciding what goes on, and he makes himself the swing vote there.
I
The
love
question
it.
is, did he pick the right option?
Who initiated the
The only right option is the
conversation?
bigger
That's what I
alliance.
really want to know.
Who initiated the conversation?
Who
against Venus?
initiated yes, I want to know, like,
Yeah.
if I could be a fly on the wall, I would love to know, like, where the initial thought came from. They portrayed Shireen as having it,
Yeah.
but I would like to know, like, where it initially came from, because Varner said something key at the very end of the episode. He goes, he stopped Jeff and he goes, "I think everybody here knows exactly what's going on. There's been a lot of work put in the last 3 days to make sure that this person goes home. So I want to know, is he running it?
I just can't understand why that person was Vetus. Like, I just don't think he's not a threat.
By the way, my mom said, please quit talking over each other, as it's hard to understand, and slow down your speech like Max does."
Oh.
Okay, Mom.
Thanks, Debbie. Let's talk about that for a second. Who's responsible for taking out Venus? Because I have a theory, and that theory has to do with the time I spent in the game with Shireen. I'm sure, Mike, you have a perspective on this as well. You know, when we think about people in second chance season, whether they are trying to break from their past or if they're playing consistently with what we've seen from them already, I think Shireen is doing a little bit of both. Shireen is going out there, my take, and this is based on, you know, knowing this person, having a relationship with her, seeing what she went through the first time she was out there, talking with her. Shireen is going out there to prove to the world that she is not only the victim that she was portrayed on the season in season 30, that she is someone who is a gamer, who is active, who is strategizing, who is making relationships, who is putting things in motion. That's the Shireen I knew when I played with her. I never got to see Shireen the victim. I saw Shireen the instigator. I saw Shireen the person who was controlling our camp, the atmosphere at our camp, by causing trouble with this guy over here, Tyler Fredrickson, or causing trouble with Joaquin, or stirring things up, or getting strategy going. Shireen is a very aggressive player, especially in those first 3 days. There's a second component to this. Whoa, I hear myself. Sounds like the Rodney impersonation. The other thing that I think is that Shireen went out there wanting to get the biggest, most distinctive scalp on her belt. And who, when she looks out there at all those people, who is the biggest target who she could take out? Who is the person who she takes out and has just eliminated a major competitor from the game? Yeah, she can go after Terry. But quite frankly, I don't think Terry has the same sort of strategic intelligence that Vitas has, the same sort of that kind of ability to manipulate and to game and scheme and stuff like that. She goes after Vitas, the guy who has probably on paper more of the assets you need to win the game of Survivor than anyone else. And so I see this as true, that anyone else on this
anyone else on the island? No way. No way.
I think so.
More components than who?
A guy who's a graduate degree in mathematics, who's a
Agreed.
huge Survivor fan,
Okay.
who's as physically fit as anyone in the game, and who is a accomplished manipulator.
See, I see.
I don't see him that way.
Who's got
I see
more
three
of a
or
tool
four
set
people
than
that are right there in
Tell
that
me.
same realm.
Prove me wrong.
I think Spencer's in that realm. I think Spencer's grown up a little bit. I think Jeremy is definitely in that category. Jeremy got cut way too early in his season. Joe has a lot of the components. I don't know that Joe necessarily has the strategicness.
Well, Shireen's not going to go after Joe.
Right. Well, you never know.
They're on different tribes.
Here's the thing,
Obviously.
Shireen. I think Shireen would go after anybody that gets her further in the game. That's the one thing I love about Shireen. She's cutthroat enough that she'll cut anybody. She would have cut me completely if it would have got her further in the game.
Let's put this to the audience, and Tyler, keep an eye on the ATF hashtag. If you want to ask a question or weigh in, tweet at us and use the hashtag ATF, and we'll hopefully get Tyler to pick up on those comments and we'll read them out loud. Who do you think was the biggest threat going into this season? Was it Vitas? Was it Spencer? Was it Kelly Wentworth?
I feel like Fishback. Why am I the only person in the Fishback camp?
Let's talk about it as triple threats, though. Can Fishback match Vitas physically?
You're not going to win physically. That's not.
No, you're not going to. But I'm saying in terms of having a physical competitor, an intellectual competitor, and a strategic or
I'm just
social
going to keep doing it.
Who's got that same total package?
Spencer, they just said you're not going to win physically.
I don't know about Spencer Clausen. This guy is obviously.
I'm sorry. My first two seasons
Survivor
were
God.
the oldest man to ever win and Cochran. So I don't buy into the physicality part of it. I think a Fishback is perfectly poised to win this season.
Well,
I think you're right. I think
He flies under the radar.
There are no challenges that require the use of the hatchets.
Yeah.
poor Steve.
How uncomfortable is that?
No, but listen, to address that, I'll take a guy that's trying at camp over somebody that's sitting around blaming other people. The 7 minutes that we got to watch.
Why did we see that? Let's think about the edit. Why did we spend 7 or however many minutes watching Abby freak out?
I think it was like, like 3.5, 4 minutes.
It felt like 45.
It was a long time.
I kept feeling like there's going to be a payoff, right? Like this is going to have something to do with.
She's going to find something in somebody's bag. Yeah.
No, there was no payoff. I watched that whole bullshit about a Claire's Boutique leather bracelet that had magical powers. Like it was maddening.
God love her. You know, I mean, here's the thing. If you're more worried about your bracelet than you are about getting a roof over your head so that you're not sleeping and getting rained on all night, then you might want to go play a different show.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I remember
I'm not being ugly. Please don't think, Abby, if you ever watch this, please don't think I'm being ugly. I'm just saying,
being diplomatic. I had in the beginning of my, I don't know how many fans know this, and I'm not sure if it was true of your season. I assume it was. I'm a horrible Survivor watcher. You get one canteen of water, right? And like in my season when we were at a lagoon, you only get one canteen until you can make fire. If you can't make fire, then 3 days in, which is what happened in Africa, then you have a challenge where you get fire and you can then make water. But you have no water. So we were completely waterless, and everyone was like, you had your canteen. And I wake up one morning and Sugar is just fucking like Three Amigos downing my canteen, and my face, like I was like, there's fucking bitch. Now, I didn't say a word. You want to know why? Because you don't say anything. Abby loses a bracelet, a $4 bracelet, and like has a complete Amber Alert sent out for this bracelet.
She's not going to say anything though. She's not going to say anything.
Yeah, that was the worst. She tempers this whole fit with, but I'm going to be different. Also, why did you play with a bracelet? Like every time I saw somebody with like a wedding ring on, I'm like, I don't know why you're out here with this.
Like if
The
you
first
showed-
season,
Tyler
you don't know
Frederickson.
better.
It felt like the season 31 equivalent of Rodney's damn birthday. Something that took up 30
Yes!
minutes of actual real life time, but it became a
Zero
focal
payoff.
point of an episode
Is there a
with no
payoff?
purpose.
Is there a payoff coming down the line?
Potentially.
That's
They're setting
what
up
we need to
Abby
know, yeah.
be
something's gonna happen.
Abby-licious. She's
Yeah.
gonna be the Brazilian spice.
She's got to come out.
That's gonna come down.
Or
the
someone is going to choke her with that bracelet.
I hope that doesn't
Bracelet.
happen because then Survivor's over, and I like the show.
So many things to talk about, guys. I want to go back to a topic we talked about a little bit earlier when you were saying you'd rather have a guy who tries to use a hatchet and fails, who works around camp. Mike Holloway, famous for sending people on firewood runs and for, being very demanding taskmaster around the Escamecca camp.
Oh wow!
Last night we saw a lot of people
Perceived.
talking about that.
Is that how I'm perceived? You tell me. You'll tell me the truth.
I never saw you as a slave driver, so I don't know.
Good.
We saw a lot of people talking last night about old school versus new school. And I wanted to know what you guys think. Corinne, you're someone who kind of played in that period that's probably in the gray area between old and new. Mike, you are obviously representative of the new school if we think about it chronologically.
Right.
But I'd suggest that old school versus new school isn't about what season you played on. It's more a state.
How much work
It's a
you've had since
mentality.
your season?
So what does that mean to you? What does old school, new school mean to you?
I heard Phil's
Start with
yeah.
Corinne.
I will say this, and this is just completely from my perspective. So when I got out there, I believe I was the player that had played the longest amount of time ago.
Right.
And I thought it wasn't that long. It was like 5 years or something. And when I got out there, shit was so different. And like the cameramen were yelling at me, like I wanted to use, like we went to tribal and I needed to go to the med box and I like interrupted them. They're like, you know better. And I'm like, I don't know better. This has changed so much. Like everything was so different. Just like there's so many nuanced things to the game that have evolved over time and over like, I think Jeff Probst's perfecting it and Burnett and whoever's in there. So there's things that change. So to me, old school versus new school in this instance would be like those players that are like upwards of 10, 15 years ago that they played, like forget it. They might as well have never been on Survivor. Honestly, it's a
True.
completely different
It's
show.
not even the same.
You know what it's like to have cameras in your face, and maybe you knew what it was like to have fame because we don't get that anymore, right? Like they probably had a way more fame than we could ever have.
Oh, of course.
Besides that, you have literally no idea what you're doing. You might as well have been on The Bachelor. It's a completely different show now.
I think it's like you're riding a bike and you jumped on and there's one of the safety tricycle wheels, you know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
Like one's broken off but the other one's still there. Like they're somewhat in the game but they're not actually in the game because it is such a different progression of strategy
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
how fast it is. And
I know that like since we're not on a CBS related, we can talk about editing, but like now, like if you just played, you're like, oh, he got taken away for 2 confessionals. He probably has something to say. Oh, she's been gone for a while. She probably found an idol. The older players do not have that because it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
It just wasn't.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that they're on two. So there's 2 aspects to that, right? Either they're disadvantaged because they don't know, or they're advantaged because they don't know, right? Now the other players are looking at you like, well, you might as well be playing fans versus favorites and you're a fan. Like it might as well be, you don't have the information.
Agreed.
And you're sort of like, are you really gonna put that in front of my face?
No, I'm just putting
This face?
What's going on? Put it in front of this face. That's a better face to put it in.
I think that there's certainly advantages and disadvantages. I don't understand. I don't know when you want to get to this with your notes, but the Wigglesworth phenomenon where she's like, I will do this and then I will do that. And I was like, holy shit, why are you volunteering for everything? Oh my God. It was like cringeworthy. And then if you're going to volunteer.
I disagree. I thought Wiggles. Okay, let's just compare.
If you're good at it, sure.
Well, okay.
But
Let's
if you keep
compare.
coming up
Let's
short,
compare
then stop
Wiggles'
volunteering.
very first episode in Survivor ever versus her very first episode in second. She's a completely different person.
well,
Like
Physically.
hey, from the 90 minutes that I got,
keep that one up, by the way.
from the 90 minutes that I got,
She's
I'm
grown.
impressed.
She's changed.
I'm
You might
impressed.
say
Oh,
she's-
yeah.
I'm
you
impressed
might
that
say-
she's taken her life and done something completely different with it, and I think she really has changed as a
You
person.
might say she's unrecognizable from the woman who
Guys,
appeared
come
on the
on.
show 15 years
Give
ago.
her-
She's very pretty.
But let's talk
No.
about that old school mentality. You know, we see people over at the Takeo tribe, talking about how there are the shelter people and the beach people. The shelter people who work hard, who are there, getting fired.
It's not old school and new school. That's a bunch of kids that have started playing this game that don't want to do a bunch of work and they want to sit around and they want to talk strategy, while the people that are actual workers go and do work.
I know, but
Somebody's got to get the work done.
So
What does that mean?
My ding. I don't have a ding.
ding.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
listen, that's a,
This is not our
that's a
house.
different podcast.
I know, but like, what can we do? Like,
Is that a good
That's a good
thing?
thing.
Oh,
I
okay.
like it.
Okay.
Oh, you like it?
no, I like it. I
Yeah,
like
Tyler.
this little-
Tyler was an old school Survivor player. He wanted to keep the tribe strong.
Yeah.
He wanted to keep
He was,
the tribe
yeah.
unified, or at least that's the line.
Well, when he
took.
got his alliance, when he got in his true alliance that he wanted to go to the end of the game with, he wanted to keep that core alliance as strong as they possibly could be, which is true. He was going all the way with them. He
So,
was never changing
But
his mind.
let's play devil's advocate and argue for the new school approach. Let's argue for the approach that Shireen is taking. Shireen and the others, I'm not saying that they're not working, that they're not contributing, that they're not making camp life more hospitable for everybody. But maybe they just want to say, you know what? Let's go to tribal council. Let's start this game now. Let's not worry about how nice our shelter is. We'll sleep on the beach
Well-
if that means we can get the numbers. Does that make you?
That's what we said just a minute ago.
But I'm
Said the
saying,
exact same thing.
does that in this day and age, does it even make sense? If you've got someone out there who's playing by that old school mentality, let them do all the work. Let
There
them
is.
drive themselves into
happened
the
to me.
ground. Let
It happened to
let
me.
them exhaust themselves. Let them feed you. Let them build your shelter, and then boat their ass out
Because-
as soon as you can.
As Mike said going in, it is 100% purely only ever a numbers game. It does not matter. So like, there is no, it doesn't, it looks nice if you're trying to get an alliance to be a worker and you have somebody like Mike that only really respects other workers. But if you already got an alliance and you have numbers, like, fuck, go
But-
ahead, get the firewood. I
So,
don't care.
yeah. I'm not doing it because you're going to do it. And then whenever you leave,
Yeah.
then I'll start doing
Cool.
And this isn't really
it.
even.
Which I didn't understand. I didn't get that.
You probably know this better than I do because you've watched it more recently. I know that you did the full 30 season rewatch or 29 season rewatch in
I did.
2015. Season 3, Africa, the young
Loved it.
kids.
Yeah.
They didn't work.
No.
They had the numbers, so they said, "Let these
You
older
guys
people
go
work,
work."
and then we're going to vote you out one after
And that's
another."
kind of how society works in real world, right?
When you are, whoever takes offense to this, take offense to this because I don't care. But whenever you have a mentality of that you are owed something, that you are
Entitled.
entitled, thank you for the word. If you have that entitled mentality, to me, that is one of the most attributes that I can't stand. And
Off-putting.
and there was somebody that was on our season that was that way.
Oh, come on, you're going to make him say who it was?
But I was never getting rid of that person until it was the exact right moment. And at the exact right moment, that person got to leave the game.
Through a fire challenge.
Oh my God. It's
Tyler
so,
hits for Micah.
he looks like he's mentally challenged or something every time he says that.
Tyler's
You
over
guys
there
can't see,
doing-
but Tyler's trying to pretend buzz something on the table across from us, and he's doing this.
So let's talk about the old school versus new school. Like what, we talked about working versus strategizing. But what are some of the signs? I was making some notes before. Some of the signs you're old school versus your new school. If you're old school, your kids tell you who to align with. We saw both
That was
Savage
weird.
and Terry
That was a little strange.
talk about how their kids prep them or in some way influence their thinking going into the game. Terry more directly saying his son prepared a dossier for him on other
I
players.
thought Spencer's response was beautiful. to
And I
that.
think Spencer's a whole approach of, hey, Terry, you're the dad. I'm the son. Let's do this. Let
I
me
thought
learn
it
from
seemed,
you.
I like Spencer very much, but I thought that seemed so forced. Like
It
it might
did?
as well have been a written and read monologue.
You think so?
Yes.
It felt
It
that
was
way.
like
but
Oh my God, it
set
came
up,
across so badly.
Yeah?
do you think Terry bought it?
Probably.
Did he play right to what Terry needs?
I don't know Terry well enough, so I don't know. I can't say.
I don't know that Spencer's that smooth.
Well,
I never saw Spencer as
It
a
wasn't
smooth player.
smooth, but I'm saying like you can afford to not be smooth if you found the person's. hot
It just
button.
looked like utter bullshit when he was saying it, and
I didn't buy it at all.
At
for
all.
what it's worth. But I think that Spencer was
Can I
wise to do it.
jump? Because my mind's going somewhere right now. Can I jump to something completely different?
Yeah, sure.
Why in the heck is Fishback's strategy to latch on to somebody that's going to beat him in the end again?
Who is he looking to latch on with you? Anyone?
No, he just said, in the episode last night, he was like, last time I hitched my wagon to JT, which
Right.
JT was awesome and he crushed me. Steven, buddy, it didn't work the first time. Like, let's do something different. Like, I would align with Steven.
I don't think this is a flaw of Steven's. I think this is indicative of an aspect of Survivor in general. When you get out there, you become yourself. Instantaneously, you go right to whatever it is that is most natural to you. And for Steven, what's most natural to him is to look around and find a JT.
He needs his whoopee.
He needs a scorpion.
I love Steven. I'll be your whoopee any day.
No,
But yes,
I'm not
definitely.
criticizing him. I'm saying that if I were to have gone out there again, I knew I was self-reflexive enough to know that I couldn't do it with Shireen, but I was going to find a Shireen, and I was going to partner up with another woman who is an outcast amongst all the other players and do the same exact thing. And I probably would have been voted out the same exact place or earlier. In fact, this summer, some people were doing a one-day Survivor game in LA, and Andrea Belke.
What is that all about?
Andrea Belke did this in Brooklyn, and Sophie Clarkins moved and said, "You got to do this. It's 1 day of Survivor challenges on the beach in LA." I went out and did it. I played with 17 other Survivor fans and folks from the community. We went out there. We did challenges. We had 3 tribes. We had a tribe swap. I had a Shireen.
I had to listen to this
and I
story on
got
high
voted
points.
out the first vote after the tribe swap in the same exact situation where the third person in my alliance voted me out. You
What's wrong
will
with you?
do the same
It
thing
is true.
over
You
and
fall into the same
over
pattern.
and over again.
I
What did you
flipped for
do?
a gay.
You flipped for a gay, and you,
I do that every time. I will
Okay,
keep
question.
doing it.
Tyler,
all the
what's
time.
my pattern? You know me well. What's my pattern? What would I fall into? What would I do again? If what they're saying is true.
Well, you won, so fuck. That's a great pattern.
No. I'm
Yeah.
talking about, like,
Teach us your ways, man.
no, I'm asking. I don't.
You're probably going to find a girl that you can work with. You're going to go work, and find the other blue-collar workers. And then you're going to fight for that other person. You're one special little person. You're Kelly.
Yeah.
You're Mama C in my case.
Yeah.
And you're going to throw challenges. You're going to find the numbers. You're going to throw challenges. But you're ultimately, at the end of the day, you're going to play more of an old school game, which is we're out here to survive. Joe Englund said it last night. He said, what did he say? He said, fire, water, shelter.
Yep.
Boom, boom, boom.
oh, I was so bored.
But Max brought up a great point about let them do the work. And, peih-gee said last night, not that I'm taking over, but peih-gee
No.
Can I hear him?
Love it.
peih-gee said last
Can I hear
night,
It doesn't really matter.
peih-gee said, peih-gee said last night, she said, Vitas, I'm sorry I didn't align with you, but they came to me with
First.
the offer to align.
True.
And while Vitas was too busy building the shelter.
Come on.
Tyler,
Good
while we're
point.
speaking,
That's
can
a
you get
solid
the other
point.
white wine, please?
That's a really good
Mama
point.
needs her juice.
By the way, here's my buzzer. It's a can of nuts.
Oh, there you go.
Why don't you-
Hey, that's a really
Tyler,
good.
why don't you come
That's a
around and
really
join
good
us?
point.
No,
When
no,
you
not
bring
before he
up-
opens the wine.
I have to do one.
There's chilled white wine.
All right. And,
That's a really good
come around
point
and
that he
join
brings
us
up.
if you don't mind. Bring the computer. Maybe we'll do some questions.
But Cray and Spencer are so
There's a couple
bored
of
over there.
questions.
I wish you guys could see them right
So
now.
we're at minute 45 here. And do you mind that we keep going?
What?
I mean, we're talking to the bosses over here. It's our show. You guys are the executive producers. You guys own the network. So,
I have no idea how long this is supposed to be.
I mean, we're already 15 minutes.
Like contractually, like you got me for 5 more minutes, and then you're gonna have to start paying me in grapes.
Well, then we'll just bring the dummies back. I mean,
Yeah, they're-
Same.
same,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Same, but
Oh,
You
different.
take
Sorry.
care of him. This is my dolly, everyone.
There will be.
little known fact: Corinne was a child ventriloquist.
I mean, I wasn't. My mom let me do whatever hobby I was really into. And at one point I was like, Mommy, I want to be a ventriloquist. And so she got me this very expensive Charlie McCarthy
How
doll.
was that again? Do that one more time.
Mommy! It was very Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But anyways, for
So-
whatever reason, now he's famous among the Dirty 30.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you also,
Corinne just used that.
The dirty
Yeah.
30-30. Or the
I
people-
love that Corinne used
Do you,
it.
30-30. Do you mean the people who you were saying the other day are now irrelevant?
you are.
Oh, we are actually.
Well, I'm irrelevant too, which is why we're all on a podcast that 4 people are watching.
Exactly.
That's true. Is there really
So-
only 4 people?
So let's go
I don't
back to this
That's
topic.
nice.
We have no idea how many people are watching. 128. Holy shit.
There's
Oh.
128 UV. Oh,
And I haven't even taken my top off
We
yet.
lost one.
And tell us, what is it? The typical tune in for an episode of On the Block, the Big Brother recap?
12.
30.
No.
He's just being nice.
Yeah, but y'all.
Did you hear that,
dude,
guys?
Big Brother's
Big
Brother
Brother,
following is way higher.
Big
than
Brother
Survivor.
It is?
supports its podcast.
Probably 'cause they can drink on that show.
Dude,
Right?
there's
It couldn't have been a good angle for
every
me.
week something like 10, 11 million tune in 3 times a week to watch Big Brother. It's insane.
All right, let's get back on topic.
Yeah.
Let's
People-
stop hating on Big Brother.
No, I love Big Brother.
I have this theory that when you get out there in Survivor, no matter how much planning you did, no matter how much intention went into your game, you get out there, you revert to what feels most natural and comfortable for you. Hence, Fishback, the greatest example of an intellectual person who has studied the game, who has podcasted, who has defined strategy, the 49 laws of strategy with Rob Cesternino.
Are we supposed to take that seriously?
Back to the same thing that he wanted to do before. And I wanted to think about who out there is doing the same thing they did before, and who out there is making a notable and commendable change from their past to play a different way.
I already said who I thought. If we're
I haven't been listening. I'm sorry.
Kelly, if you go just from
Wigglesworth.
if we're
I don't feel like
comparing
he said that already.
if we're comparing episodes, all I have to go on right now is her very first episode that she ever played and her very first episode of Second Chances. Look at the defeat and how she acted right after they lost the very first challenge. She's completely different. She's more now of almost like the mama bear. Like I'm a bat.
I'm a mom now, she said.
She is a mom. She gave birth. She can do anything, I believe is the quote from the episode.
You mean Wigglesworth?
Wigglesworth, yeah.
So
I
you,
think-
So
you
is that
say
Kimmy,
Kelly
isn't
Wigglesworth has changed. I mean, she's had 15 years to change a lot of.
I say 15 surgeries.
You guys are horrible.
I said 15 years. I didn't say anything. Mike, who in your opinion has not changed? Who's playing the same exact game? And don't just say I already said it.
Woo.
Woo.
Yeah.
If you go
Yeah.
to tribal council and the only thing that you're showing at tribal council is saying is I have no idea what I'm doing, you just told me that you have no idea.
Well, that was a little uncomfortable. You have
Well, that
over
was
here
a
the
little-
man who-
Well-
that was a
No, that's
but
a
it came
different.
across completely.
It's completely
like a non-joke.
different. No, it's
So
completely different.
We're referring, of course, to Tyler's line during his voting confessional of I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, but that was a special situation. There was an idol in play. This is a straightforward vote.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on. If you do not know what's going on, you just told me with that interview right there on Survivor, we know editing, Woo has 0% chance
Yeah,
to
but
win
those
this
people, but they skate real fucking close to the end.
game.
They get
He
really
got
close to the
second last
end.
time.
I'm just what tempers my feelings on every player is there were other players that didn't get to go because you got voted
Agreed.
in. So if you're gonna
Did they
be
really get
there,
voted in, Corinne?
I don't
Were they really
I
voted in?
don't know. I don't necessarily believe that they did, but if you're going to be there,
Of course they
make
did.
your mark and be dynamic. Like, don't be asleep at the wheel. I don't want to see that because
No.
Max could have been there.
Varner took it. Varner did it. Varner did it. They showed Varner doing it the right way. If you're going to go back and play a second
Go
chance
balls
this
to the
season,
wall.
do it.
Definitely.
Do it. Like he won me over last night watching Varner.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my gosh, he's here to play
Yeah,
the game.
yeah,
I
yeah.
got really, really
And
excited.
I was like, I did not know anything about him because again, I'm not like a good Survivor fan. But I now knowing what I know now, I'm like annoyed at myself that I didn't vote for Varner. Like, shit, he is
everything you want in a Survivor.
He
play.
is.
Corinne, who do you see as having stayed totally consistent with their past, and who do you see as having reinvented themselves?
I don't know because I didn't see these people's first season, so like I
Well,
know
given who you've
some
seen.
of them. Yeah, thank you, Tyler. So Abby, I know her in real life. I watched a few episodes with her and Malcolm before our season started airing, but I don't. You've been here
I
before.
know what to do with it.
Mike's trying to find the bathroom, and he knows this apartment. I don't know why he went the other way. So I think Abby is trying really hard to, I guess,
change things
swim
up,
against
but
the
is
stream.
she succeeding?
No, not at all. Not at all. Oh, I was gonna say. So what I was trying to say was that Malcolm had told me some things about Abby, right? And then I met Abby, and then I saw a few episodes with Abby during their season before ours aired. So I don't have like a lot to go on, but I have at least this much. in this episode, she said, I'm not going to play with emotion. I'm going to be more, I'm going to be.
Can we talk about something really quick, because I thought it was interesting.
We can talk about something. We have to come back over
You
here.
have to, you have to be on camera or else no one can see us.
Before this goes too long and people start tuning out, can we get into the immunity idol?
We got more views.
Really?
We're actually drawing more.
Can we talk about the immunity idol?
Yeah, let's do that. Actually.
At the challenge?
Okay, yeah.
Because
what's
That's
your impression?
bananas.
Dude, how awesome is
And I
that?
feel like it's a disadvantage. Like, Kelly was smart to wear her shorts, but it's a disadvantage for females because generally speaking, like, okay, so
No
I was
bottoms,
stranded.
bottoms. Right.
Well, at this point, you just have bra and underwear. I had a full 3-piece suit, right? Like I was
Yeah.
stuck. How in the world? Like, there was no way I could play in water in a pantsuit.
Right.
So what if it were me in Kelly's position? I would have had no chance. And when Kelly, I felt for her when she was like, the choice is that I get this idol, but then everyone knows. Like, I think that at that point she must have thought in her head, I should have fucking told somebody. If I told somebody, they could have blocked me. I could have hidden it with them, whatever. But she went out rogue by herself, and she's so lucky it worked out for her. But I don't like that twist because it's not, it really does skew to, I think, to the men, because women are wearing nothing when we do challenges, especially in the water.
Well, but
we have
if
nothing.
you're going to a challenge with a clue and you're the only one with the clue, you're gonna know to wear something that you can
I know,
hide.
but okay, but Mike,
Especially your
if
second time playing.
okay, let's say it was me, and
Right.
I had to edit, whatever, producers made me wear a suit. I'm gonna try and get in the water in a pair of pants. Everyone's not gonna look at me like I'm
I see what
crazy.
you're saying. I
And
see what you're
so
saying.
we've heard a little bit of behind the scenes from some of Vetus's exit interviews last night from watching with Vetus that Kelly Wentworth had the foresight to wear her jean shorts to the challenge where everyone else was just in their underwear, told a beautiful survivor lie that she was having her
Lady time, which
For
is
lady
great
time.
because I thought to
You're
myself
smart.
when I saw her in that, I was like, okay, I get why she's doing that, but you have to understand when you're on a tribe and you're trying to win a challenge, you look at any idiot that's wearing a shirt, like you're slowing us. Why would you do that? Yeah, it looks ridiculous, and you're wearing heavy, thick jean shorts.
As in my season,
yeah, I wore
Dan
a shirt.
sticking his head under the spout as we're trying to fill up this bucket of water, and we're like, Dan, you're splashing water all over the ground when it needs to go in the bucket.
It's just
Anything in challenges,
Big
isn't it
challenge,
funny how the minute,
shit gets very real in a challenge.
really quick,
Really
and
real.
you notice everything that
Yeah.
everyone's doing, and you're like, you're not part of the team.
No.
Oh, it's
I think
frustrating.
that Kelly played that perfectly, that Kelly showed everyone last night all of the sort of promise that everyone who voted for her hoped she would have.
Mm.
Totally.
We took a big risk on Kelly.
I voted for
Wentworth.
Kelly.
I voted for Kelly as well.
And
Can
then
I
also,
just say, during the episode when it was going on, I was very vocal. I'm like, Kelly, you're messing up. Kelly, you're blowing it. Kelly, you got it. Oh, why isn't she not in the front right?
Did she play it perfectly?
But wait, and then whenever she grabs the idol
yeah, I
and
don't
gets
know.
it and nobody saw, the only person that I think had an opportunity to see was Abby, because Abby was turned,
Oh God.
and if Abby saw, it's going to be a nightmare. But
Shut it down.
but if not, Kelly was very smooth. She calmed her heart rate. She waited until there was a heightened moment in the challenge.
Yeah.
Everyone was paying
The
attention
hesitation.
because it was like exciting, and then she grabbed it.
I mean, I cared more about whether she was going to get that idol than I
Now
did.
what
if
did
it won.
now what did Kelly do wrong? Here's what I would have done. I think
What? I would have
would've
solicited a second person.
I would have went to the other team's post
See if they
No.
And-
Wait, I found this out. Maybe it's because I know the guy that gave me the Cliff Notes.
and grab
friend
and see if it was there.
Mikey
Would've
works
been there.
for one of the media. He
It
said,
would've been
no. The rule is if they don't find the clue, there's no idol hidden.
Got it.
So they didn't find a clue, there wouldn't have been
Got
an
it.
idol. And you'd look like a
Cool.
complete
Well, no, just making
lunatic
sure.
going, feeling
I'm just making sure.
the undercarriage of the other.
I would have just checked.
So here's a good point where we can stop and say, we're players that have recently played and we didn't really know the rules. What do you think Varner and Dietz are thinking? Like, there's no way they are mentally have even an
He's like an
idea.
idol.
Yes, but not
There's
hidden
an
at a
idol.
challenge.
There
I'm
was an
saying
idol in
the idea that there was
season.
going to be a clue and it was going to be hidden at the challenge.
No.
No, never.
No, no one knew that. This is the first.
But I'm
This is
saying,
the
like,
first.
yes, but you and I, all of us.
How do you feel about
It
it?
is fitting that it
I
should
don't
be
like
found
it.
by a new school player,
Yeah.
by someone who is more oriented by that individual game. Because Kelly Wentworth, she is now, especially given her past, where she was saddled with her father, where she was playing as a partner in a duo that she didn't want to be a part of from the get-go. She is right now aggressively playing with self-interest in
herself.
mind.
100%.
And she last night, I mean, if we were giving
I love
out
that girl. I
some
think she's
sort of
great.
gold star, she did
Yeah.
and a tremendous job.
Is that what a fishy is? I don't know what a
She,
fishy is.
in my opinion, she.
I think a fishy is
I told
no
you guys
longer
before
an
the podcast
appropriate
started.
term of
She got. I told you before the podcast started.
Well, let's
For
give
me-
her some. Why don't you give her the
No, don't pull that out. That's
Okay.
disgusting.
Listen, we're
My
gonna give an
mom's
award.
watching the podcast.
Debbie, if you're watching, turn away.
Mom,
we're gonna hand
no.
out an award.
This is no
I
good.
don't-
This is
Um,
no good.
Okay. Why don't we go to some
But it's Max's podcast,
viewer
so I can't get in
questions?
trouble for it. Do it, Max.
Why don't we go to some viewer questions? Then to do that, we'll bring in Tyler Fredrickson
Yeah.
for monitoring
Corresponding.
feedback for the entire episode. Tyler, why don't you come
Can-
around?
hey, while he's doing that, I would just like to say, this opens up the idol being at a challenge opens up a whole new level of strategy for Survivor. Because think about this: what if Jeff says or CS says, production, whatever it is, that they say, hey, both tribes, both teams, we're gonna put an idol in the middle of this challenge. You both know it's here.
That's
Just wait, but
okay.
wait. So like,
That's not that different from.
so you have 6 people. Let's just say there's 6 people on the tribe. So you have 6 people, but one person knows that they're on the bottom. They completely throw the challenge to go hunt for this idol, which completely screws the rest of the team. I'm just saying, like, there are different
So-
levels of.
But that's not that different from like when we got to our merge feast. We all knew there was an idol hidden at the feast, and everyone decided we weren't going to go for it. And then Sugar went for it, so Marcus got it, and then Marcus threw it in the ocean. Oh, here's Nell, ladies and gentlemen, the
There he is.
the one that cannot speak. Or
Tyler Fredrickson joining us to share some of your feedback and questions. Tyler, before we get into the questions, you want to update us on some of your thoughts about last night's episode, apart from what you've already chimed in?
I thought there's some good stuff already talked about. Corinne, I thought, brought some really cool points. I was actually I was surprised at how positive Joe's edit was.
Yeah.
You know, because I thought that I feel like though that type of positivity is setting a tone that I think is going to be fulfilled over the course of a season. I don't know if Joe's going to go out next week. I don't think it'd be, if it's that positive and then Joe goes home. What is the point of it all?
Is there such thing as a winner's edit? Could he be getting a
Well,
winner's edit?
that was the
like
funny
this-
part last night.
this-
I actually watched the episode with Mike, and at one point Mike looks over to me, and we both kind of smile like, "This is getting ridiculous."
This is
You know,
the
like,
winner's
look
edit.
at Joe's body.
okay, but
And Mike's smiling at me, and I'm looking at Mike going, "Mike, now you know how we all feel."
No.
We've been watching this winner's
yeah,
edit
but
for weeks.
so okay, but there's also the idea that like this is a show, right? And they let people vote in, so we got not a very attractive cast, and they
Did
like
you just say Cass?
well, definitely that, but also in general, they've got Wentworth and Joe, and like if you're not going to feature the two of them,
True. Good point.
so you're going to get a lot of Joe no matter what. And by the way, I think
Right.
Jeremy Collins shuts it down. His body,
I
I
saw your
love that man.
Tell me the purpose of like, hey, my daughters love you, Joe. Like, how is this propelling the
It's just
story?
your-
How is
It's
it? Or is this
well,
just,
I don't know why editing would do that, but I know why I would say that if I were them. Like, how
Of
are you
course,
going to endear?
but
How are you
how-
going to be on their level when they're that much younger?
we
than
all
you?
know we've got 18 minutes of footage of actual like discussion,
So,
getting to know everybody.
Do you know what that
How
makes
is
me think? This shit was boring. There was nothing. We had to see Abby's bracelet debacle. Yeah, I mean, like,
Or that Savage is going to be. It was Savage, right?
Savage.
Savage is going to be slurping Joe for the next 4 or 5 episodes. I don't know how long they go. I've
Yeah.
stayed away from
Savage,
spoilers, but I'm
Savage
just
is
saying,
intelligent
are we
enough
setting that
to
up?
bridge the gap. I think like what
but
you're.
that was smart. I mean,
I think
what
it's
else is he
bridging
going to
the
do
gap,
to
yeah.
try and make a common ground
But
for them?
what I think
Well, I
we're
mean,
seeing-
you could show him your nuts.
What I think we're seeing here is that Joe
Was
is
that bad? That was bad.
Joe is our friend Joe, who we competed with and who we now
Joey
subscribe
Amazing.
to. Joey Amazing. And
Who
you're
we're going to go see
partially-
on Monday.
Yeah,
we're going to
we're gonna
watch
be there
episode
Monday.
2.
All right.
All right.
Stop
30,
dropping
30,
names
it's over.
that you guys know, Joe. It's great.
Sorry.
That Joe is now a product. And it's interesting to know someone who is you consider a friend who's undergone this transformation from human being to product. there's a lot invested in Joe. He
Agreed.
is a star of the
Poster boy.
CBS network.
For sure.
Now we know, and I think you know, having seen what Malcolm went through, how Malcolm was put in that same position and then even put on a CBS soap opera and sort of invested.
They're so
in
almost
him.
identical because they played back to back. Same.
The back
Same
thing. CBS has a track
But
record
different.
of doing this with people, investing in them, trying to transform them into.
Yeah, and they're investing in the attractive party. Like CBS is not getting behind,
Well, they Cochran.
They put him. He's not a face for.
He's also
Russell Hand.
He's a writer. He's a producer. These people are not being serviced out at soap operas. I mean,
Malcolm, even last night when Joe was first shown on screen, goes, "There's me!"
That
and
was
got
funny.
the entire room to laugh. I actually, not to drop names again, but I was texting with Joe today. I said, "Congratulations on last night." Just really subtle, quiet. He said, "Dude, I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah.
They completely blew me up." Not to, share all your words with America, Joe, or 150 people are watching, but he was completely shocked. And I said, "Congratulations on becoming the big star of the new, or not the new, but of CBS, of the new reality stuff that CBS is doing. You are the new group, or the new school that we're talking about.
He's definitely
Joe
in the
is
top
now
five.
that guy who's being
Definitely in the top 5 of who's getting camera time.
And
For
when
sure.
we talked about people who changed their game and people who are playing the exact same way, Joe talked a lot in pregame and even in some of the conversations we had before where he was going to take this heel turn. He was not going to be the nice
Right.
guy. He was going to try to be a little devious so that people weren't thinking he was this
Yeah.
virtuous superhero. And of
Oh,
course,
he didn't do a
goes
good job
out
of
there
that at all.
and he immediately
So
goes
that's
back
tough.
to the same exact. He wins the challenge. he
Let's
makes
back
the
it up
fire,
even
he
further.
makes everyone
He's sitting
fall
in a
love.
boat with Jeff Probst, and he goes, "It's Dietz. He's the guy who's won all these challenges." Completely saying like challenges are that matter, strength that matters. And then they get out on the boat, and what does Joe do? I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go for it.
Oh, yeah.
Runs forward and dives in. He's
He's a gamer.
He wants to
just
win.
as
He wants to
Shireen
compete.
can't not go hard in that first 3 days for that first tribal.
Joe
Joe
can't
cannot go hard in a challenge.
And what does he do?
It's
He's the
against.
first guy to win.
I tweeted that. I was like, "Does his back hurt from that target? Like, what in the hell were you
Yeah.
thinking? Just volunteering? Like,
Mike, you
it's a
were
bad
talking
strategy.
to Joe before he went out there. What was some of the advice you gave him?
To really and truly be him, but be
less good looking."
actually.
Joe, can you
Could you
have some
tone
sort of
it down?
facial disfigurement? Can you burn your hair?
Stop
off?
looking like a Disney
What I
prince.
told Joe was like he needs to just have more conversations with more people more of the time, because the thing was with Joe is he got in our season almost to a comfortable state of where he was in the game, and it wasn't that he didn't keep trying to go out and talk to people, but he only talked to the people that were like, "Oh, Joe," and you can't do that in our game. In our game, you have to check the temperature of everyone every single day, 2 or 3 times a day, to see if anything's changed.
That's something Spencer said. I
Mhm.
thought that really made a big impression on me. I'm going to have more
Yes.
conversations one-on-one with everyone in my tribe than I did for my entire season.
And the winner of my season said the exact same thing every single day. I'm going to go out and run around and talk to everybody.
It's true.
Yeah, but that's just true of your season. That's not true of my seasons. Either
So
of them.
Because you're old
didn't-
school.
Cochran
That
didn't
was
go
a
talk
long
to
time
everybody.
ago, Corinne.
No, for real. Cochran didn't go around talking to everybody.
No, and Bob definitely didn't.
Whoa.
No.
Really?
So-
Bob's kind of an outlandish character. I can't believe that.
It wasn't on his agenda at all.
What was he doing? Sleeping?
Nah, he's like, let me build. I think I can build bunk beds, you guys.
Bob's
I mean,
awesome.
he's
though, for
awesome.
real, for real.
Awesome. Super happy, he won, but not at all the strategy you guys are. You're all playing, your minds are, he won, so he must have done it right. And so checking in with people is the right thing to do. But a lot of that is, if you check in with people, then you get their negativity, and then you're supposed to field that. Like, okay, if you tell me you don't like so-and-so, now I got that information, I got to do something with it.
Right.
It's almost better to not, like Cochran would I was having to come to Jesus every morning with everybody. Cochran wasn't. And like, I was the one calming Don down all the time. Cochran wasn't. He kind of like sat back and let me do all that stuff. And then I had to manage those feelings, and that wasn't a good role, especially for someone like
I
me.
think what you said right there was huge. Like you said, that worked for you. Every season
It's
has
different.
a formula.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
No,
it's-
nothing works the same time twice.
And how boring would it be if it did,
Thank
right?
God it doesn't.
Well, that
No,
was
it's a
that was
variable.
me. I was sitting back waiting and letting everybody come to me and tell me information, and it was horrible TV. And I completely get that, but at the same time, it's also the best way to make, in my case,
decisions.
to move forward.
Yeah.
As soon as I heard everything.
Tyler, who's
'Cause you
playing
knew
the
everything.
Who's, and this is obviously hard to say
Sure.
after one episode, 3 days. Who's playing your game? Who's the person who's sitting back, taking it all in, letting the game come to them?
I have to say, it was I thought it was the narrator of the show, which was Varner. I mean, this is a guy who came out 14, 15 years ago and pretty much was not really impressive whatsoever. And now he's coming out, and not only is what's special about Varner this time is he realizes how important, how special this is for him.
Yeah.
And he's putting it in a way that everyone else gets. Right, what I wasn't really capable of doing, and I wasn't really coached, didn't really know, I never seen myself before, like Corinne had the opportunity to do, was realize that you can play the yes man game on the beach and sit back and relax, but you've got to come into confessionals and bring it with sound bites.
Kill it.
Varner
Yeah.
is killing it right now, but he also wants it so bad. So to kill it in sound bites and want it that bad,
And
it's special TV, and they're
make it organic.
Yes, and
Like
yes,
I don't
it's not
feel like
artificial.
he's like, hey, this is gonna get me
Yes.
further. Like
He's
at
like
all.
he's my dark horse. Like I'm pulling for
I
Joe
want
and
him to win
Serena.
so bad.
I'm pulling for Joe and Serena.
I'm
You want,
fishy.
you want him
I
at
want the
least-
dirty 30,
You want
but-
him 12, 13
No,
episodes.
I want Varner there.
I want
a
as
long
much as I
time.
can
Show is
see.
better.
Give me
The
Varner.
longer the
Give me
Varner's
Varner.
there,
Give
the
me
better
Varner.
the season is,
I
based
agree.
on that one episode.
I agree.
Let's go to some of the listener, viewer, whatever
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah, because we're like, oh, way
Yeah,
over
we're
time.
way over
We're
time.
already now into
And we got a
past the
party.
1 hour mark.
So we got a
And-
party to go to.
Yeah, this is just the beginning of our night. We have the Big Brother rap party. We have McCrae and Spencer here, who actually are our sponsors.
Are bored as
hosts,
hell.
who are zoning out, waiting to go. They just are so desperate to go out and kiss the ass of Steve, the new winner of Big Brother.
Which congratulations, Steve, by the
Yeah.
way.
By the way, congratulations, Steve, and congratulations, Vanessa, too, who played an amazing
Oh,
game. and
my pick to win.
a lot of people are very disappointed didn't actually get to take the title.
Okay, back to Survivor.
Yeah, I
back
have
to
nothing to
Survivor.
contribute.
And we also have our
Brother.
most recent Survivor Reddit AMA.
Yes,
photo
we
bomb.
do.
Photo bomb, Jay
Photo bomb
Freddy.
comedian,
Jessica has in the
Frederickson.
backside.
It's a party over here.
We
It's a
might-
dirty 30
We might get
hangout.
Jessica just to pop up like a whack-a-mole every now and then. But Tyler, let's get some of those
Let's get a
questions.
question.
Here's a cool question from at Teddy Bluebea. Was Varner, along with the lines of the same Varner theme, was Varner the original archetype of players that followed him, like Tyson, Corinne, and Courtney?
Interesting. Was Varner the original architect? Well,
He wasn't as vicious his first season as the
Mhm.
players that were named after him on that.
was Richard Hatch not the archetype for Jeff Varner, though?
Had to be.
I mean-
Well, Hatch was just.
I wish I had seen
I
Varner's
think-
first season.
I
I don't
think
know.
I'm actually rewatching Varner's first season.
I should, because
and he's very
I'm
quiet, soft, and sort of
But he has,
I'm drawn to
hanging
him.
back.
he has that devious side to him, that mischievous side. He likes to cause.
Yeah.
Well, he
trouble.
wants to stir it up, but he's
He's
not.
snarky.
But exactly, he hasn't developed it
Love
yet.
that.
He hasn't developed it yet.
Or maybe the game
No,
hasn't
he's
quite
not-
got
he's-
there.
He's
season
gonna.
yet.
The game
Yeah.
hasn't developed yet, but think about what Jeff Varner has done in the last 14 years. He has become on-air talent. He's been a local
He knows how to
newscaster.
work it.
What?
He
He
knows-
has?
Yeah,
He's been a
he's
local
widely
newscaster.
successful.
What?
He was a fill-in host for Regis and Kelly.
What?
Yeah.
What? I didn't know any of
She's
it.
Now-
years
now
of
you're
Jeff
now you're
Varner that you
drooling.
missed. You now
He's
have
your
to
gay,
catch
you're
up.
Jeff,
drooling,
Jeff,
it's
Jeff.
over. It's
She
over.
loves gays.
It's over.
Dear Varner.
Jeff Varner knows, and that's part of why he's
I did
so,
not know all this.
so natural in front of the cameras, because he's been in front of the camera for 14 years.
Wait, I'm sorry. Doing what? He's doing.
On-air talent. He was a newscaster.
Newscaster.
He knows how to tickle
He's
it.
won awards.
Wait,
for-
I'm sorry. You keep skipping from. I did the weather in North Dakota to I filled in for Regis. I don't
You
understand.
recall that Survivor Australia was watched by something like 30 million people a week. The people who
I
were
think
on
it
that
was
show,
60 right after the Super Bowl.
the
And it
season
was,
started with
it was
60.
massive. Yeah,
One
that
of
premiere.
those, one of the cast members went on to be
Okay.
Elizabeth Hasselbeck. The other was Jeff
Okay, all right.
Varner,
Come to that
Colby, all that sort of stuff. So Varner, was he the archetype for a Corinne or for a Courtney, or was he an extension or a kind of inflection of the Hatch archetype? I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think Richard Hatch changed the modern game of Survivor. I don't know
Well, that's
that
a
he was. I don't know.
preposterous thing to say.
I don't
know
because
that-
I don't
He
know that.
started it.
No, I'm saying
Was it the
he
pre-modern?
was,
The
no,
influence.
he was way.
He
Richard Branch was way before
was
his
before his time.
way before his time.
Yeah.
So no, I don't believe that he was the archetype that started Varner.
But did Hatch steamroll a bit?
Had to.
Whereas Varner
No one
and,
else knew
and
the
Corinne
rules.
and Courtney have maybe more sat back, been snarky, pulled strings, said,
And then
hey,
just
that
shit in
guy's kind of a little
confessionals.
bit of a bitch. And then boom,
Yeah.
that word
Yep.
sort of spreads
But
like
you
a
still got
virus
stuff
slowly
around
around.
camp too, though. When you
A
don't
little
agree
bit.
with something, I know you well enough to know. When you don't agree with something, you're putting your fucking.
Woo! Yeah,
You're
I
putting
do.
your foot down.
Yes, but I tried really hard to keep like my really like serious commentary to confessionals, and I feel like Varner's definitely on that track. Like,
Yeah. He knows.
and
how
you
to-
got to remember, these guys are not that hungry and that tired and that pissed off
But
yet.
if the tribe's
It's
going
3
to do
days in.
one thing, if the tribe's going to do one thing, and you don't think
And I
it's
don't
the right
want to do
way,
it. Yeah, I'm gonna say something, but not like Abby.
No, Vetus,
No,
Vetus
no.
actually said last night that they had so much food coming off of the ship
But they
that,
lost-
And they weren't even hungry.
that the food rotted.
Yeah.
Oh,
they-
yeah.
That the
they
rice
went-
wasn't even really tapped
the
into. That the food
rotted
was
before
going.
They
Yeah.
could even.
So, and they were eating everything. They weren't even preserving. They were eating everything they possibly could in 3 days. So all these guys, you have to think, are pretty full. The producers said they were shocked
They're
that
in, like,
both
diabetic
teams
coma.
stayed on the boat so long,
to
just stocking
full
up.
stop.
In fact, the rafts were so heavy they were barely able to pull them through the current. So these guys had food. Like rice was sort of like
Yeah, so
ooh,
you'll see-
Yeah.
Way better confessionals, I bet, from Varner going forward. Like once he's more hungry, and at least that if he's got anything like me inside him, the more angry, like the more hungry, the more tired,
And the
Right.
more
the better my
And the
confessionals.
thing I think about Varner too, the more juice he has, the more confident he'll feel, and the more he'll shoot from the cup.
Yeah.
He will just start to get a little power. He'll get power drunk, and he will start to become that guy.
Varner's not
Definitely.
he's not the target right now. So Varner's got another 2 or 3
will
episodes for his cockiness and
If he keeps
his
playing the way he's
confidence
playing, he
will
will
grow.
be.
Until then. Okay, let's go to another question.
Here's a question. This is from a guy named Jeff Pittman.
Oh, Jeff
True
Pittman.
Dark Times. Yes, we know- we
Rerun
know
your
Jeff.
numbers. Rerun your numbers.
He said, by the way, the episode started off, we didn't talk about this, I think with an incredibly exciting, like boats, sprint for, 2 boats out in the middle of
It's
the
an amazing
Cambodia water.
It looks
But
expensive.
It looked really
It looks
expensive.
expensive.
But then, so now we've got our one big immunity challenge. Like here is the big thing. And Jeff says, had Quest for Fire really been waiting 15 years for its second chance?
I think it was a good challenge.
Discuss.
Had Jeff.
Had Quest for Fire. Like we're finally now got the big all-star season we've been waiting 5 or 6 years for, and we go to Quest for Fire where you kind of bring in a raft and then you tie the thing. We've seen it all
Possibly
before.
the most
Is this
boring
exciting?
challenge.
Oh, so boring. So boring.
What was the most exciting thing you guys already said
Who's
about
Quest?
the challenge was
Kelly
Kelly.
Wentworth looking for that item.
But wait.
She stole the show.
So many things happened. It was so ironic because Wigglesworth team that lost dipped their fire in the water as well and had to relight. Keith, who got lucky,
Who's a
that had-
firefighter?
who's a firefighter?
He puts out fire. This is what he does.
That's what he does.
Yikes.
But Joe ended up, coming in and helping them out, whatever. But I thought it was just very, very funny that the very first challenge, the fire goes out. This challenge, fire goes out.
I mean,
mean,
yes. If this
it's
was my
Simpatico. if you will.
10th grade English class and we were assessing, like we did Lord of the
This
Flies,
is not,
like,
it's not
yeah.
Survivor Theory.
No, I mean, I thought as a viewer it went slow and it was sort of boring, and I was, like again, you shouldn't. I love Kelly Wentworth, but I should not have been more concerned about her finding an idol that she knew was there than who was winning the challenge. I think
Hey,
that
but
was
you know what was really cool about the editing in this challenge was
What, Mike?
the very first time that we see
It not being Jeff in the
Yeah,
football
actually,
team.
you know what? I gotta say, there was so
Yeah.
little Jeff Probst in this.
Yeah. And we
so
cut
little
away to a
Probst.
confessional, like in the
That's
middle
what-
of
in the middle of the challenge.
That
I
was
thought that was-
weird.
I thought it was cool
Tiger
though.
Survivor.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
evolving, it's changing, it's
Right.
something different.
So,
we haven't seen that.
I feel like you guys
I
would
like
not
that.
have seen this, and he is like one of the few people that he accepts my friend request. So Randy from my season, he
Love
said,
Randy Bailey.
this is the first time in five years maybe or something that I could watch and enjoy it. And I think the reason is because there was so little Probst in it. And like he was the person that highlighted it to me because I knew, like after he said it, I was like, yeah, like Probst is barely in this 90 minutes. But when Randy said it, I was like, oh, that's actually a thing. Like Probst is actively not in this episode. Would you not say?
I would agree that he was taking
Even in
way more
Tribal,
out of it.
he's really like Not in it.
Maybe they just gave him good tribal. I mean, from what I heard, they cut out a big explosion of.
I'll show you what I found. I walked through Corinne's bedroom on the way to the bathroom. This is
I'm crafty.
on the nightstand right next to the bed.
I mean, what if I didn't want people to know this?
Well, it's too late.
You've met my dolly now. You know my mantra.
Brain cells also die here.
Yes.
All right.
Are we good to go? Are we done?
Yeah, let's wrap it up,
Let's
man.
do one or two
we're not
more
done? Oh, I
listener
didn't
questions.
know.
Actually, you know what? I've got a question that I want to get to that was
Yep.
submitted to us by a special listener, Igor.
Don't use the word the specialist ever near me.
Oh,
Chip,
God.
Chip.
Sorry,
Here we go.
this is
Love you, bud.
Igor, the owner of Chip Chip. He had a couple questions.
Igor trips me out a little bit.
Okay, Igor had
Philip
three
is
questions for
specialist.
us. How you fell, Stephen all alone? Do you think he cry or masturbate? That mean idol is excused for masturbate.
Wait, why are the only two options for Stephen crying or
Yeah.
masturbating?
Yeah, I'm not
And
feeling
he-
that
That's
question.
Igor.
Igor, clean it up, buddy. This is a family show.
Okay, the second question that Igor posed to us: what is Kelly Wentworth's phone number?
I have it. Hold on.
Text-
No, I'm kidding. I don't have
I mean,
it.
I do. Do you want?
I had a question real quick that you guys
Yeah.
haven't really talked
She's
about.
engaged, is she not?
Yeah, but I mean, for Igor, Igor
Just because
is-
there's a goalie, Igor, doesn't mean you can't score.
and then the final question
for it,
before
buddy.
we,
Do it,
before
do it,
we get to Tyler,
Go.
who do you think will win in a physical fight, Tasha or Abby? Only
Tasha.
Tasha whoops her up. and
Well,
down.
Tasha-
Whoops that.
Tasha's quads are like Michael Strahan's
Yo.
quad. I mean, I've never.
I don't know
seen-
where she kept getting such fancy headbands. I felt like she was.
Yo, I wouldn't mess with Tasha.
I would not mess
No, I
with
wouldn't.
Tasha.
I wouldn't mess with Tasha.
Tasha, we're cool, right?
Like, don't
We're
come
super
hunt me
cool.
now.
Please.
You played an
I
amazing
meant
first
that Michael
episode.
Strahan thing is a
I hope you
compliment.
do really well. Don't come get me.
Please.
I liked her.
Yeah.
No, she did really well.
All right. Tyler.
My question was just because I actually have never watched season 2 of Survivor, and I've been
That's funny.
revisiting
That's the
it.
season I
That's
compared
right.
you to in my.
I've been revisiting it now, and it's been really fun
Long and boring.
and boring. But thanks. My question was because we look at Varner, and Varner, who was kind of like the glowing sort of like came out of nowhere narrator of this most recent season. How does he compare to Kimmy, who was also somebody who went out I think 4th in her season, and has now kind of come back and has been not really
Fangirl.
impressive, and it's just
Yeah.
sort of like, I'm here to like
She-
learn and hang out, Jeff, and she's
But
like,
she got voted in. So there were like a significant amount of fans that decided they wanted to see her play again. So
Agreed.
there was something about her that we're hoping
and
is
tell
going
me
to come out.
what is it about her that we
Oh,
saw
I
in the
don't
first episode that we obviously we saw something in Varner. What are we missing right now, Kimmy?
I mean, I don't think she's hit her stride yet. I think she's just there at this point as like,
It's a
Hey,
small
can I get to
stage.
play?
There's not enough room for everybody
There's
to
not enough
shine.
room. There's not enough room.
So
Kimmy was the original train wreck. She was the original, didn't fish out of water,
Glad you
couldn't
said it.
survive in the wilderness, was uncomfortable,
Well, she's from New
complaining,
York.
a city girl.
back
who's-
then she was anyway.
She's from Long Island. She had the accent, the kind of like
really,
pampered personality.
She was fighting with Alicia
She would
at
fight with
one point. She was
Alicia.
grossed out by them trying to kill a pig, and she ran away.
And Kimmy has a huge gay fan base. Kimmy,
what?
you haven't seen
You went
gays for
huge.
Kimmy
You went
and gays
huge.
for
You went
PJ?
huge here too.
Yes.
Huge.
I thought the story was going with
Huge.
that.
It's where you should have
Just
gone.
a voluptuous bounty of support from gay viewers.
A top-heavy
The one
gayness.
that Corinne's fighting for.
Have you
Yeah,
guys
I'm like,
haven't-
fuck this.
If you guys have not seen Gays for Kimmy, Gays for PG, it's a rap song that is called.
There's a rap song.
It's a rap song and video called.
Okay, we're
Where are
off
my
top-
guys at?
we're
Why
off
have you
topic.
not written me a song?
We're off topic.
Well, anyways, Kimmy has a tremendous amount of support. She is huge personality, bubbly. She is so ill-suited for being on Survivor, and people love that.
I didn't know any of this.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
talk to someone who knows, and you'll find out a few things.
I got a question for Mike. Mike,
Yeah.
who should be doing the happy dance? This comes from Jacob Buck 31. Who should be doing the happy dance after episode 1?
The only person that's got guaranteed safeness the next week, Kelly Wentworth.
Yes, that's a good.
Kelly Wentworth doing the happy dance. How about Joe doing the happy dance?
I feel like the happy dance is trademarked to Mike, and no one should actually do the happy dance
Please
except
don't,
Mike.
please don't ever do the happy dance.
It's just Mike.
It's like me and my buddy that started it. But yeah, just us. No, I really think Kelly should be extremely proud of putting in the work to find the immunity idol, actually finding it. I think Varner should be proud of the fact that he gave great confessional. I think Joe got a really good right this episode. I think the people that are really, really, really in trouble to right off the bat are Wu. I think he's in big trouble.
Yeah.
You know what's cool about Wu? He don't know it, so
Exactly.
it's irrelevant.
Exactly.
Hashtag blindside.
Hashtag blindside. I think peih-gee's probably in a lot of trouble.
You think?
Well, just because in
Yeah.
any situation that there's shade thrown at you, whether it's with guard, whether
And that
it's
sucks
good
for
shade
her.
or
I
bad
felt
shade,
so bad for her with
Right.
the brace. I was like, this poor. There's no way she was trying to.
but she's being targeted.
That was so.
It still brings your name up in a negative light. I
It
think she's
does.
in trouble.
And you
She-
have to deal
She
with
did
it.
a great job of getting out of that trouble and
Agreed.
sort of.
Yeah, but that's
I mean,
temporary because that stain, like you're clinging on to anything.
You're already
Any
there
reason someone else
get
is going to
somebody
hate
else.
on you.
And it's so perfect and also so terrible for peih-gee because she's trying, just as Abby is trying to fight against a history of being short-tempered and explosive, peih-gee's trying to fight an
Shoplifting
image and
charges?
reputation. and,
Whoa.
an
Poor
image-
peih-gee.
an
peih-gee,
image
I feel
being
so bad for
Someone
you.
who's contentious and argumentative around camp.
And there's no winning against
There's
Abby
no
because
winning.
it's not a
No.
logical argument that's going to
No.
win.
So
And
peih-gee
we
played it perfectly,
argue logically.
but was screwed by just circumstances. By being out there with that. The
Like
worst case
craziness.
scenario for Abby, Shireen, and peih-gee is that they should somehow come together to play together and create some sort of axis of annoyance, like some sort of alliance whereby they're going to attract a lot of attention onto themselves.
That would
and they're gonna
require-
fight with one another.
That would
Yeah,
require
everybody- a
them
lot of
having
people-
the self-awareness to know they're annoying. Yeah, that'd be actually really smart if you were like, we're equally as annoying. No one's gonna vote for any. Let's do this.
Right.
But you
But they
guys
don't-
see, maybe not all of you, but you guys see Shireen, or the majority of people see Shireen as annoying.
I don't. I don't.
Like, I understand
At
how
all.
Shireen, well, maybe I'm overstepping. I understand how Shireen thinks, and we get along in that way. So to me, she's not annoying whatsoever.
You wasted a bunch of words there. All you needed to say
Like
was
that.
Shireen thinks.
We have one
Shireen
person
thinks.
here who thinks
Shireen
Shireen
thinks.
is annoying. We have the one person who worked with Shireen before you came into the game, and the one person who worked with Shireen after I left the game. So
Right,
I think we're on the same page. You are outspoken as a huge Shireen.
I am a
fan.
huge Shireen fan. And if everyone already knows going in she's a millionaire, then you don't even have to worry about that shit. You get to finals, nobody's gonna vote for her.
That's the only bad thing about
Here-
everybody knowing.
Here's what.
Why is that bad? That's great. Then she's the fill-up. Like you bring her to the end because no one's gonna vote for her.
Here's what's
Good
more
point,
important than I
actually.
think of all of our thoughts is the edit. In the edit last night, I think Spencer at one point was listing off different attributes of characteristics of survivors and says, and the crazy. And the camera cuts right to Shireen, which has me worried. Like, are we
Me
setting
too.
up for Shireen? Even Varner says,
Losing
slow
or
down,
something,
Shireen. Is she going to go off in the next 2 or 3 episodes and go?
I know, but how
Crazy.
can you
I don't know.
call her crazy when you have abi-maria on the
She's
show?
definitely not crazy.
I-
She's not as crazy as
She's
that.
crazy. She's like a fox.
Neither
I
one.
mean, she's smart.
Okay, I'm going to
Abby's
push this
actually,
out
really,
there.
Abby's actually very sweet outside of the game.
No,
So
we
I'm
all-
very
we all agree
approachable.
that.
So
We all agree
I-
that.
Y'all,
We're talking about in-game stuff.
Right.
We're not talking about outside
No,
of the game
no,
and the
no, no.
relationships that we have.
Yes.
with these
let,
people.
let me put a question to
Completely
everyone, and I do want to start wrapping things up maybe in the next few
Yeah.
minutes because we're going up on an hour and a half.
Oh, geez.
30-minute podcast.
Yeah, but look, we got
129 views.
Woo,
Yes.
woo.
Oh,
What I want to know is who was most screwed over by the edit last night? And I mean, obviously,
Fish
Bruce-
back. Fish
Bruce
back.
is a big
Fish
deal.
back.
Oh.
Let's try to, as people who know the show, who like the show, who know many of these
Fish.
people, let's try to talk about, for example, with Fishback, what we didn't see that maybe explains and justifies what we did. Because one thing that I've been very frustrated about is a response that I've seen online and some of the podcasts I've heard so far, where people are taking Fishback to task. How could he go look for the idol? How could he not work?
Why
on
would you
relations?
not
How could he
go look for the
not?
idol?
First of all, everyone's looking for the idol.
Of course
as
they are.
soon as you hit the beach.
I'm about to fall asleep.
Let's talk about on our beach, Carolyn Rivera. How long did it take Carolyn to find that idol on day one?
not a half a day.
Half a day. I thought it was within the first hour of our arrival.
It may have been. I heard last night that Kelly found it within 20 minutes.
I heard Kelly found it
That's what I heard
within 20
as well.
minutes as
Scoot
well.
over, so
Now there are
so-
conversations going on where people are saying, "Oh, I think Kelly found it on day 2 or 3, and she was very subtle about looking for it." Kelly started looking the minute she hit the beach.
I did too.
And it's also,
I did too.
but it's,
I did too.
I did too.
And Tyler, at one point, I said to Tyler, "What are you doing?" He said, "I don't know." And he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm looking for the idol." We
I did-
just started.
Yeah.
listen, everybody knows in modern day Survivor.
If you're not looking for the idol, you're an idiot.
And if
Day
you
one.
lie about looking for the idol,
Don't lie about it.
you're shady.
Don't lie about it.
Was it the way in which he was looking for the idol? I mean, like, just with those big old jeans, treading into murky, gross water, stumbling all over himself.
Well, I thought they
That
were
was
setting us up. I thought they
to
were
be-
setting us
For
up
him
for
to
like
find
him
it.
to find the
Yeah.
clue at
If
least.
Steven did anything wrong, it's that he provided production with everything they needed
To
To
hang
make
it.
him look like a fool.
Yeah, it's a hang it
He
up.
didn't do anything wrong from a game standpoint, I'm sure. And in fact, I'm positive that and this is me just sort of giving him the benefit of the doubt, that Steven went out there and immediately started having conversations, immediately started putting into
Yeah.
practice.
Of course
he
he
knows about Survivor strategy. Did we see it? No. We saw other people doing it. And
We
for
we
what you
see
want,
42 minutes, or in this case, let's say
closer to an hour.
an hour and 10 minutes
Of 3 days worth of footage.
But we all know, and we're not going to talk about spoilers, and we are not spoiled. We are coming into this with just as much knowledge that you have. But we know that things are there for a reason.
Agreed.
And so things are also not there for a reason.
Agreed.
So just because you didn't see Steven make relationships, just because you saw him look for the idol, doesn't mean that Steven is bad at Survivor.
What if they're setting us up for next episode? Steven actually finding the
Finds
clue.
the idol, they come after
And then
him, and he plays it on one.
Bam, and
Boom.
then somebody's blindsided.
Suddenly,
Which
Steven
is
looks
gorgeous
like the
because they
greatest,
gave us
the knowingest know-it-all of all time.
Right.
Don't base your opinion. Be open-minded. Think about what isn't in the edit.
Sure.
Think about maybe
Yeah.
what's talked about in those secret scenes. Think about what might also have gone on, and give people, especially Stephen Fishback, give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I mean, I would say in this season, choose your side, pick your
We can't see
player.
you. Come
Oh,
closer.
I would say in this season, choose your side, pick your player, do whatever it is that you want. But these are people. These are people that are leaving their jobs, leaving their families, and going.
And the
to
emotional
perform.
state you have to be in to have not known if you were going to play, then know you're going to play, then have to play, and you've maybe strategized. Maybe you spent all your time strategizing with this idiot. Like now you get out there and you're like, oh shit,
Oh God.
him and Carolyn aren't in my alliance. Like it's very difficult. There is a lot that goes into this, and you have to give all of these players, no matter what we said tonight or what we will ever say about them on Twitter,
Mad
a
credit.
lot of respect.
I put Steven in the number 2 position in my power rankings. I took a little bit of heat over this. And for one reason, when you're out there, who do you want around? You want around someone like a Stephen Fishback.
Mm-hmm.
He is level-headed. He is calm. He keeps his emotions in check. He's a great conversationalist, a good friend. He's loyal.
Super.
He is the sort of person you want to be stranded on
But
a
you
desert
see,
island with.
But Max, that brings us to what you would hope to see from Steven is not loyalty, right? We want him to change his game. The loyalty did not help him. He got 0 votes. Like, this is not what we want to see from Steven.
But,
I want to see Steven.
Show me
Play.
cutthroat, Steven.
Oh my God, big
Show me
moves.
show
Big
me
moves.
cutthroat, Steven.
Change his stripes. And
I agree.
we're gonna
We'll see.
that.
You know what? We'll see.
It gets boiled down
Let's-
to the base.
Let's all. This kid has spent how many years now podcasting? He's a know-it-all. Let's hope he has learned not to.
Hey, Steven can play the Steven game as long as they're right around the top 5. He switches
He
it
gets
up,
rid
and
of
that's
his
where it
guy.
changes everything.
Exactly.
Hey, riddle me this. I think we compared the 2 tribes. It seems like they threw Steven on one, they threw Spencer on the other.
Ah,
Right? It was those matchups.
So and we got the dorky elephant circus music with Steven, right?
Yeah.
But Spencer never got any of that. Are we setting up Spencer to be, as he said, more level-headed, more of a less dorky, nerdy player,
Well,
and more of a guy who's quality, bringing it? Maybe he can go
Because he
deep in
was
the
young
game.
and now
or
he's
maybe,
not. Like Steven was basically, you hit a maturity point, right, at a certain
Right.
age. I think Steven's maturity is the same as his first season.
Gotcha.
Whereas Spencer's definitely got to be, he's older and wiser, right? Like
Yeah, but I
he's a
think he's
baby.
coming from an edit perspective, right? You're
I'm
coming
coming-
from
I'm saying
like
Steven
Steven
was
got the
received-
do-do-do-do-do-do-do,
Steven received-
and
So let's cut to Spencer going doo-doo-doo-doo, and we're like, ha, the dorks are all here.
But there
was
It's
no-
the
but there was
characters.
no
but there was
music.
no
There was
Spencer.
no
And I'm
music.
wondering, is Spencer now a different guy? Is he going to
I
go
think
out
so.
next episode because he's way too sharp and then he's way too much of a power player? Is he going to go deep in the game because he's different? He's not dorky.
Well, there's 4 of them.
What's
If
the?
they don't go deep in the game, then they blew big time strategy before they went in the game because they had 4 people from the same.
You know what?
season.
This season is actually only going to get really interesting, at least to me. And I'm not
Merge.
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 Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. These
waiting for the
people.
merge.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Because Fish and Spencer, like,
well, already
there's-
though, we are seeing big personalities, big targets on the chopping. I mean, what's the best case scenario from production standpoint? Monica Padilla goes out first.
Yeah.
Kimmy goes out first.
So you're saying Monica has no chance of winning?
No, I'm saying Monica has a tremendous chance of winning.
I
Monica
agree.
has
I
no
was
chance
about
of
to say-
making compelling television.
Okay.
So I'm
Not
saying
compared to,
not compared
Not-
to Jeff
no.
Varner, not compared
Right,
to
right.
Spencer, not compared to Jeremy.
Joe.
not
which I
compared
have to tell you is a really hard pill to swallow as a returning player. Like when you were the most interesting person on your season, which is why you got invited back. And then you get invited back, and all these other people are more interesting than you, and then you're the extra in
You're
your
the
movie.
candidate.
Oh,
Like
wow.
it's a
I never
horrible
thought about
feeling.
that.
because these people are not invited back because they weren't compelling characters. They were.
Oh, that's weird. That's a weird.
It's a horrible
That's a
realization.
weird thing to think about.
Let's get back to,
Oh,
we
thanks,
talked about Steven getting a harsh edit. I want to say,
Are we
I
wrapping
feel
it
like we're
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
wrap up. I feel like Vetus. Let's talk about Vetus for a moment. Let's give him his due.
Moment of
because,
silence.
Not a moment of silence, a moment of reflection, because I feel like Vetus got Vince's edit.
I called it
to
the
a
Max
T.
Dawson edit,
I don't think so.
slightly more sped up because it was, a little. You kind of went
I
out.
think he got more of the Vince at it.
I think he got the Vince edit, the
Yeah.
creepy new age guy.
But it was also like, hey, my package, it was kind of gross, and he's flirting with me, and I feel like
Well,
You
leave it
kinda
to
got the
Shireen
whole-
to
Jesus Christ,
point
he's
out somebody's
dying.
I feel like
package.
you. No, I
This
feel-
is why you weren't booked as an initial guest on this.
I will step out after this question, but I felt that it was like, Max, there was like sort of a humiliation thing going on a little bit, which cut a little below the belt, so to speak, that I didn't really feel was fair and part of your game.
no.
Vetus, I feel like got that as well.
Well, I granted that there's.
I'm not saying one's better than the other. I was
Yeah,
kind of giving you
any-
crap
any-
on Twitter.
anytime.
I saw Vince's edit being to a T with like over the. There was nothing in my edit about me coming on to the women or being
Sure.
sexual. I mean, there was the thing about
You
me.
couldn't with the crippling wart on your foot.
You weren't coming across sexual. You pulled off all
No,
your
you
clothes
weren't
and
coming
walked
across
around.
sexually.
No. I mean, I was naked.
There was
but I
naked, and there was like
I love you
bulges,
though,
and there
man.
was
I love you.
blurs. You had blurs as
I
well.
had blurs.
Vince didn't have blurs.
I'm over
So I
here
was-
dying, y'all. Max Dawson naked.
You were dying.
The thing though that bothered me the most,
Yeah.
and this might be just totally just coming out of my own personal perspective on things, maybe you guys don't notice. Vetus is one of the most accomplished and well-respected yoga teachers in Los Angeles.
Is that a
Show-
thing?
Is that
It's
true?
a thing. It is a
True?
thing. Go to one of
Okay.
Venus's yoga classes, standing room only. You have to wait in line. You get shut out because there are people waiting down the street to get in. He's really talented, accomplished teacher. I don't know if Joe's ever done yoga in his life.
Joga?
It doesn't
They
matter.
show Joe doing yoga, and it's like the
It's
golden
night
boy.
and day. It's
And they show
contrasted.
Vetus,
Right.
and it's essentially
It's a
You
dreamboat
You know who's,
versus
hey,
a
you
creep
know who's
show.
getting the Mike Holloway edit? Joe. Right now.
We already talked about
No, not on
I think
this. You and I talked about
Mike
it.
Holloway
before.
got the Joe Anglin.
that.
Maybe
talked about
that's
it
what
earlier.
it is.
I
said
just I
looked
want
at you
to
and
see
said, this
Joe
is-
doing anything. Joe, teach me how to set a proper table.
Hey, Joe hung
I mean,
that picture
Joe.
in your room.
Yeah, Joe hung the picture. That picture's never
That
coming
picture
down.
This is where I
I'm
step
gonna
out.
die here.
This is where I step out and y'all wrap up.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's wrap it
Yeah,
up.
wrap it up.
Let's
We
get-
have one last segment, Tyler, that I actually want you to be a part of. It's something
You know what
that
you're
we're going
telling
to
me.
do every
No,
week.
get that away from me.
One last segment, and that is.
I don't know why you're putting that so close to me.
Well, who else is it? Okay.
Get out of here with this.
That's
Listen,
so weird.
one last segment that we call "Your Mother's a Whore,"
Your mother is.
and that's
My
in
mom's watching this. You know that.
deference to our friend Dan Foley,
Of course.
who, of course, during our season Worlds Apart, made
Is that
a
different
very-
than indifference? Is indifference different?
Deference means,
Indifference?
in
Respect.
honor, with
Yeah.
respect to.
May he rest in peace,
May
too.
he-
That was a rough weekend.
Rough weekend.
Wrap it up. I have to go.
So, your mother's a whore. The line, the action, the thing that somebody did in this episode that they're going to probably regret for the rest of their lives.
Oh wow, good one. I'm glad you sprung this on me.
Vetus doing those weird twerking poses was not his best luck. No? That's the only thing I can think
agree,
of.
I
Well,
agree.
the
I mean,
camera
that's
gave it a
the
dirty
obvious-
look. Yeah,
and
it was
really,
an
the
angle.
camera set up
Wasn't
the
his best
way
It
it
was
was
like, and
shot.
then when I do this,
And then the
Yeah.
camera
was
did
bad
not.
for Vetus.
Vetus was already being set up by that moment.
I agree.
But anything anyone else did that they're going to be regretting.
I think I got two. I think when Abby watches the season and she looks back on it and she goes, "I'm not going to tell anybody," and then she goes and tells everybody.
She's not going to regret it for the rest of
Maybe
her
not
life.
regret it for the
That's
rest of your
just
life.
Abby.
I just think it's funny. But from my own personal opinion, woo!
Wake up.
Don't
You're
go
on
to tribal
Survivor.
council and go, you don't know who you're voting for. You always go to tribal council with a plan, unless that plan gets rocked.
It was a little bit Eric Reichen back.
Oh, it was
completely
100%.
Eric.
I went home because
It was
Eric
completely
Reichenbach didn't
Eric,
have
Yeah.
an idea of what was happening.
Tyler, any thoughts?
You know, I don't think he's going to be bothered by this at all, but I think people are going to remember it. It's just going to be Fishback trying to chop wood with two hands on a hatchet. I think he's been so great all day today, laughing it off.
He
But
has
I think people will always remember and go, Fishback was that guy.
He's not living this down anytime soon.
He's not living it down anytime soon. Well, whether or not he regrets it, but we're going to
And
remember
maybe
it.
he uses it for motivation. Maybe 2 years from now, after
Sure.
hundreds of thousands of hours in the gym and developing his lats and his traps, Steven is okay with things. But it's true. That's going to be something that's a GIF that's going to be on the internet.
I have it on good authority.
Googles you for the rest of your
And
life.
Steven, if you're mad at me for saying this, and tweet me or text me later, whatever. But Steven went out and bought a balance beam before
That's
second
brilliant.
chances.
That's brilliant.
Because he asked me, he goes, "What's the
Yeah.
one piece of advice?"
I knew
Kurt
Steven did a
Warner, right?
ton of CrossFit.
Steven really went out to do, like, hey,
I know, so that's what's so sad about.
I love it.
I
I love it. He's trying.
And in his defense,
He's trying.
he's got food poisoning going out there. He's got fever. He's got stomach distress. He's not in his top shape. I'm going to say this, and this is going to be controversial. This is going to be throwing one of the members of the Dirty 30 under the bus.
Okay.
I think Joey is going to regret for the rest of his life going so strong in the first 3 days. Joe was too amazing in those first 3 days. Joe,
Yeah,
as you
he
said,
doesn't.
how does it feel to
They
have
call
that
him
target
Joey
on your
Amazing.
back?
How bad is your
Yeah,
arthritis
yeah,
from that
yeah.
target on your back?
Good work.
Did you hear it?
It's not going to be
Strong
easy for him to live down the
Joey
target he's
Amazing.
placed on. Listen, we played with Joe. We saw him in that first
He's so
challenge,
dreamy.
and we walked back and we said, we got to go to tribal
He's
council, whatever.
so dreamy.
Whatever the case is, we got to get to a situation where we can vote this guy out, because if we don't, he will run the table.
Yeah. By the way, if somebody can find the GIF, and forgive me for doing it, of Joe right before the challenge when Jeff gives him what it's going to be, and he does this, tweet it to ATF. He goes,
Yeah.
Joe does that.
I
Find
can't imagine
it,
someone
bring
hasn't
it back.
already been.
Somebody's
Find
done
it. It's got to be out
Joe's
there. but
man
tweet
bug.
it to
You know
ATF.
you're watching this.
Yeah,
So-
tweet it.
Megan, if you've got
Megan.
that. All right,
All right,
guys,
let's close this out,
we're
man.
going to wrap this up. Thank you very much.
Well, Jay Freddy's
got a photo
Next
op.
episode, we have a
Hey,
lot of
thanks for having
things to
us.
do.
Hey, Spencer.
I'm gonna join.
Yeah,
McCrae,
Spencer and McCrae.
Thank you guys
Still
for
awake. Thank you guys
the
for hosting
platform.
us and
Hey,
for allowing
photo
us.
bomb
Yes.
Jess.
I didn't realize the
Jessica.
camera was right there. I think
Yeah.
my arm went and got like.
All right, guys. Thank you. We'll see you next week. Let me announce next week's guests. The Wine and Cheese Alliance. I will be in New York City, and I will be sitting down with Eliza Orleans, Brian Corden, Francesca Hoagie, and possibly some other members of Wine and Cheese. So please tune in, 6:30 Thursday next week. We'll talk about episode 2.
Where's Vince?
Francesca, what's
I don't know.
up?
Until then, where's Vince?
Franny,
All right, guys.
call
Thanks
me.
a lot.
What's up, Franny?